It may be the biggest U.S. intelligence breach since Edward Snowden leaked top-secret documents back in 2013. Tonight, the search is on for whoever revealed classified documents online, many of them focused on Russia and Ukraine's military capabilities. Matt Bradley is tracking it all from Kyiv. Matt?
Yeah, Kate, a senior U.S. intelligence official told NBC News tonight that these documents with regard to the war in Ukraine are real, that they may have been altered in certain parts, particularly with regard to estimates of Ukrainian casualties. And now the Justice Department is joining the Pentagon in trying to find out who was responsible for these leaks and if that person or people work for the U.S. government. And these documents reveal some interesting clues about Ukrainian and Russian military capabilities that haven't been published before. But Kate, the real impact here is going to be on American intelligence gathering and capabilities. They really show the reach of America's eyes and ears, spying not just on enemies, but also on allies. And that could have a big impact or cause tensions with some of America's partners. Kate?
Now to the urgent search for a missing Minnesota mother of two, last seen dropping off her kids at daycare a week and a half ago. Nearly 2,000 volunteers turning out over the weekend to help look for clues. Eva Pilgrim is here with the story. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, Rebecca. The mother of two didn't show up for work and then didn't show up to pick up her kids, which her family says was extremely out of character. Police saying they are concerned for her safety, calling her disappearance suspicious.
This morning, an urgent search for a missing Minnesota mom. Madelinekingsbury was last seen 11 days ago after dropping her two kids off at daycare.
I tried to call, nobody picked up, and that's kind of when alarm bells were going off.
According to police, Kingsbury and her children's father dropped their kids off at daycare shortly after 8 a.m. on Friday, the two returning to her home. The father saying he left the house in her dark blue Chrysler minivan around 10 a.m. When he returned later that day, he says Kingsbury was not there.
Our department and our law enforcement partners are working relentlessly to find Maddie and determine the circumstances surrounding her disappearance.
Investigators say it doesn't appear the 26-year-old left her home, finding her phone, the jacket she was wearing that morning, and her wallet still inside. Police say her minivan was seen that day driving along a nearby county road between 10:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. Authorities have searched the van. Her sister Megan saying not hearing from her is out of character, telling us Kingsbury was supposed to come to her home the following day, Saturday, with her daughter.
It's swimming around in your head like, why haven't I heard anything from her?
Nearly 2,000 volunteers combing through an area near Kingsbury's home. The family now offering a $50,000 reward for any information that helps them find her.
We love her, and Maddie, we're going to find you.
And Megan telling us that Maddie's two children, her 5-year-old daughter and 2-year-old son, are safe and cared for right now. As for possible suspects, police not naming any as of now. We've asked if the father of her children is cooperating. They've declined to comment. Guys.
Well, we hope that community gets some answers very soon. Eva Pilgrim, thank you.
We sure do.
And Laura, I also want to mention before we let you go that there's more breaking news that you just reported a few minutes ago that former President Trump's legal team is trying to block Mike Pence from testifying in the special counsel by going to the appeals court here in D.C.
Yeah, we had wondered what the former president would do on this because just last week we learned that Pence was not going to actually appeal a federal judge's order that he testify in special counsel Jack Smith's probe. You'll remember this is the piece of the probe that has to do with the former president's efforts to try to overturn the 2020 election. Smith has been running along a grand jury investigation in that case, and a judge had ordered Pence to testify, but we've now learned that Trump is going to try to block it. Now, I should mention, Trump is trying to block it on different grounds. He's citing executive privilege as a way to try to make sure that Pence doesn't testify. That has not done so well in the courts thus far. When he's tried to do that, the D.C. Circuit has said no and ordered some of his most senior aides to testify, including his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, among others. So it'll be interesting to see what the D.C. Circuit does here. If perhaps it has a different ruling because it's Pence, it's not clear that it would. So watch to see what happens there, Andrea.
President Biden apparently holding back his 2024 campaign launch despite reports that he's definitely running for a second term. Axios writing, quote, advisors and close allies don't expect him to announce a run for re-election anytime soon. And some now believe it could come as late as July or perhaps even the fall.
I think it does need to come before November of 2024, but I'm not sure. This all comes as a recent poll shows only 1/3 of Americans think Joe Biden deserves to be reelected.
Lee Carter is the president of Ms. Lansky and Partners and the author of Persuasion. She joins us now. Lee, 1/3 of Americans, what Todd just said, do not think that he should be reelected. I mean, is that possibly a reason why they're holding back on announcing?
I think the news is not good in this poll for Joe Biden. In fact, the news for Joe Biden in polls for a while has been one that he pretty much sits under 50% in approval rating for almost every category. So he's underwater. But I think his strategy for him is a smart one. He did a very similar thing when he ran in 2020, which is he very much stayed under the radar. We didn't hear a whole lot from him until right about when the primaries were starting. So I expect him to do something similar. The more he campaigns, actually, the less he does. I think he needs to put his head down, do his job, not communicate as much, and let the Republicans, frankly, go at it for each other. And then he should really be making an issue for himself. I think his best chance at winning is to make some kind of progress on abortion or make more of that of an issue than he has up until now. You know, more than 1/3 of voters who voted in the midterm said that was the primary reason that they were voting. And so if he could pick up some more folks who would have otherwise gone against him, I think that's going to be good for him. But the polls are really, really damning for him when I look at some of this. I mean, he has lost quite a bit of momentum even since July of last year. And so he's going to have to get some wins up on the board if he's going to have a chance in 24.
Well, the way he's going to try and get those voters in 2024, reportedly, is to use influencers in his reelection campaign, saying, quote, we're trying to reach young people, but also moms who use different platforms to get information, and climate activists. Interesting how there's like 3 categories of people in this world, and people whose main way of getting information is digital. Don't Republicans need to follow suit on this, Lee? Because I always get the sense that, like, Republicans think that their way of doing it is better because it's the way it always has been done. But I'd argue that over the course of the last couple elections, it's not working. So don't Republicans need to follow suit on this?
Yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, conservatives tend to be not only conservative in politics, they tend to be conservative in temperament, which means conservatives can be somewhat reluctant to change. The world is changing. We need to be more digitally forward. We need to get in front of the folks. But the other thing is, a lot of the issues that are most important to young people don't necessarily score well with Republicans. And so Republicans are going to have a message and a platform that is going to appeal to young people. At the same time, the base of the Republican Party is really, really solid. When you look at enthusiasm among Republicans for voting in 2024, much more enthusiastic about voting than those on the left.
Makes sense as to why the Democrats not really in favor of a TikTok ban.
Yeah, keep Biden in the basement.
There you go.
Use TikTok, which obviously many people want to ban, but Democrats are like, that could really hurt us. Let's not ban it. Lee Carter, thank you very much.
Lee.
Thank you so much. Good to see you both.
Likewise.
Let's go to CNN's Omar Jimenez, who has been following this since just a few moments ago, watching all this happen. Did you hear anything new from police? We now know there are 6 people who have been shot, including a police officer. Do we hear anything about their conditions or anything like that?
Well, you know, we got the tragic update as we're seeing that 5 people are dead, 6 taken to the hospital after this shooting. And obviously, when you first get reports of an active shooter, of an active aggressor, these are the types of reports that you worry about, that the situation updates to the casualties that we're seeing here, the fatalities that are being reported here. Now, one thing that we did learn from this as well is that the active aggressor threat, as they described it, was over. They said the suspected shooter has been neutralized, or the shooter has been neutralized at this point. We're also learning a little bit more about what was happening as this was unfolding, but this is coming from a witness account who is nearby, who spoke to one of our affiliates, saying he got a call from his wife who said there was an active shooter and that she was locked inside a vault at the Old National Bank here. And so the man called 911, but officers were already aware. This was happening around 8:30 in the morning there. He described it as a traumatic phone call, with his wife essentially calling him from inside the bank vault where she was sheltering at the time. He's since talked to her and that she's okay, but obviously this was a situation that the shooter was actively firing at folks, and we know at least one person, potentially even others, were sheltering inside a bank vault just to be safe, just to protect themselves. And so obviously we've gotten the update from police that some of these casualties have confirmed now into fatalities, and that others have been taken to the hospital. Their conditions are still unknown. We know the governor is headed out to the scene right now. We know there's law enforcement at multiple jurisdictions that have said they are responding at the local level, Louisville Police, but also ATF, FBI. And so I think at this point, we're now waiting to see what develops from here, including the potential identity of the shooter here. And we watch to see if these numbers unfortunately grow as they typically do when we get into the early stages of reporting mass shootings like these, Sarah.
Really terrifying hearing that account from inside of the bank, a woman in a bank vault saying someone was shooting. There are lots of potential things that may have happened here. We don't know at this point if there was a robbery, if this was a disgruntled. We don't know anything about why, but we do know now 5 people have perished in this shooting. You've got one person who's been taken to the hospital. Omar Jimenez, thank you so much for following this story for us.